adjust your television sets. We are actually here live, but we're going to be starting like for real here in a couple minutes. First,
fewer minutes than you think because
Yeah.
Daniel is very impatient.
that's true. I just need just enough time to do a couple of things. This is our, it's our little like pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
It's our pre-game. This is where we chug a couple beers just to make sure we're in the right mindset.
Glug, 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 glug.
Because of all the beer I drink.
Mm-hmm. That's no beer for those of you playing along at home.
Oh no. No, stop it.
Oh, you
No.
forgot to mute your phone.
There we go. Make sure to say hi in the chat. Well, I'll be saying all this here in a moment when we actually get everything going. All right. Chris, I think we might be ready for a logo. What do you think?
Oh man, if
I
you
don't
think
care what you
so.
say. We're doing it. Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I am Chris.
And we're Star Wars nerds. And you know what is really fun about being a Star Wars nerd right now?
There's new Star Wars.
There's so much fucking Star Wars. Barrett says, hi, guys. Joe says, what's up, man? Hey, Joe.
Hello there.
Fuck off.
Fair.
That's an inside joke. You'll understand. No one else will understand it. You'll get it. So, yeah, welcome to our Star Wars show. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about a few things today. I think first, let me get my thing up here. So we're going to do episode 3. We're going to do the Kenobi after show. And there will be plenty of warning for spoilers. It's not like we're going to like start springing spoilers out of nowhere. So, and then afterwards, as time allows, we'll go through all the stuff that happened at Star Wars Celebration.
All the announcements.
Yeah, because there's so much news.
There's so many.
Yeah, so it's
holy shit.
Yeah. So this show is live, obviously. So if you're here watching it live, please feel free to leave a comment in the chat. We will read it when it's possible. And I won't tell everyone to fuck off, just my friend Joe. Before we get started, thank you to our partner Connor at Star Wars Hub and Star Wars Veritas. He's a pretty cool guy. Go like those pages on Facebook. But of course, most of all, thank you to you, our viewers on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch, which are all things that we do, and only one of them kind of well, which I'm fine. Actually, we've gotten like 5 or 6 YouTube followers this week.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, we've never done very well on YouTube.
Yeah.
We did great on Facebook, but whatever. After this, at 7, we'll be doing our Star Wars Battlefront stream. And I'll be getting my max level boba tonight.
That's very exciting.
Yes, and so am I missing anything else? Juan says hello there.
Hello there.
Hello there. Fail me and you will live to regret it. Oh yeah, we're gonna get to some pretty cool lines.
Yep.
The whole fucking episode is chock full of cool stuff. And also we're gonna do our first thing, and then we're gonna do our spoiler-free review of Kenobi, and then we're gonna get into spoilers.
Yeah.
So the first thing, and it bothers me that I have to talk about this, because people are just such shitheads that everyone is just, everything is so you're either on team A or team B. Everything is like very tribal. So if what I say will piss off people, and it's gotten to the point now in society where it will piss them off a lot, and people will probably unfollow the page. And I seriously don't give a fuck.
If you unfollow because of our position on this, then honestly, good riddance.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start off by saying that when Moses Ingram was cast for Kenobi, Lucasfilm sat her down and was like, Star Wars fans are the worst, and you, because you're a black woman, are going to get tons of hate on social media. And I assume that she was like, okay, well, I've been warned, so plus she's formidable in real life anyway. I doubt that it bothers her that much, but still, of course, predictably, just as they predicted, on Instagram, Moses Ingram has been getting just the most disgusting bullshit in her DMs and
literal death threats.
Yeah. One specifically, your what does it say? Your days are numbered.
With the wrong your.
Yeah, misspelled your. A bunch of messages calling her the N-word. Ewan McGregor came out today on Instagram and posted a really nice message in support of her, and it was pretty much like, if you're a racist, fuck off, which I can't, like I really identified with, and this is the problem. This is not, it's obviously not a new problem. John Boyega had the same shit happen to him, Kelly Marie Tran. And so here's the deal. And don't come at me with, well, I just don't.
Disney is attacking Star Wars fans. No, they're telling racists to fuck off.
Not even that. Not even that. Don't come at me with, oh, I don't. She's a bad actor.
No,
she's doing a bad job.
She's doing a fantastic job. Fuck you.
Listen, you, not anyone specifically, but don't know a fucking thing about writing TV shows or acting. Stop pretending that in 2022, that because everyone's a fucking expert at everything on the internet, that you know what is good acting and not good acting. Shut the fuck up. Just say you don't like black people so I can tell you to fuck off, because that's exactly what's going to happen. There's no reason to be threatening people's lives over a fucking TV show role, particularly because you don't like the fact that they're black or female. And if either of those things bother you, then quite frankly, fuck off, because I can't think of anything else I would have a conversation with you about, because your opinion is stupid. And when you die, I hope your opinion dies with you. So fuck off. That's all I'm going to say about the Moses Ingram thing, because I'm about to get a little upset. Now, that doesn't mean that, by the way, that doesn't mean that if you don't love her performance that you're a racist, obviously. Art is a subjective thing. Some things you're going to resonate with, some things you're not. If you're using it as a, oh, well, I mean, she's black, but I can't say that, then fuck off. If you have a problem with her performance, then come with receipts. Yes. Have something fucking, something specific.
If you have actual substantive criticism, like you disagree with her portrayal of this thing or in that scene, then say so. Yeah. Like, be specific in your criticism. Yeah. But if
you can't think of any reasons and you cross your arm to say, well, she's bad, like, the reason is pretty thinly veiled, right? So it's fine. Props to Ewan McGregor, by the way. When this happened, his message on Instagram is amazing, and he literally says, if you're a racist, you're not a Star Wars fan, and I agree with that. I think that's a good thing to say. So Eric says, I think she's fantastic. I think she's fantastic too, actually. Like, her acting performance is not worse than Hayden Christensen's in the prequels. And look, I know some people are going to come at me. I love Hayden Christensen. Okay, I think he's a great Anakin Skywalker. I will admit that a lot of the problems in the prequels weren't necessarily his fault. Probably a lot of the writing. But Hayden Christensen has said before that he's not the best actor in the world, right? So, like, she wasn't nearly distracting as I hate sand. It's rough and coarse and gets everywhere. She was not that bad, right? Yeah. And it's just too bad that the cast members didn't do the same thing that Ewan did for people like Kelly Marie Tran, or that the MCU folks didn't do the same thing for Brie Larson when she was cast as Captain Marvel. So just get your bullshit out of here. I just don't want to fucking hear it. Bradley says, I think she's doing a great job owning the character. 100% agree with what Ewan McGregor said. Also, yeah, we're talking about this when we get to spoilers. I have a weird feeling about her character. I got some weird shit going on in my head where, like, and I think this is another credit to her performance, where, like, there were a couple of, like, little micro expressions that she had and reactions to some things where I was like, girl, what is up with you? Like, I don't think that she's the villain that we exactly think she is. Okay. She's probably still a villain, but Eric says he's been looking for you for a long time. A little Vader quote there. David says, hi everyone. I loved seeing Vader with James Earl Jones' voice. Oh yeah, we'll get to that. That's a little spoiler, but I don't think anyone's not expecting Vader to show up. But we'll talk about the James Earl Jones voice, because I was actually kind of a little surprised by that. So we got the Moses Ingram thing away. The rest of our news we'll talk about at the
talk about that later. Yeah. We gotta do a recap.
Yeah, well, let's do a spoiler-free review real quick. That way we don't have to put the spoilers up. I just want everyone to have enough time to get the fuck out if they've not seen the episode. Out of the three, this one's probably my favorite so far.
I would agree.
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. That isn't to say that the first two were even bad. It's just that, like, there's some shit that fans have been expecting from this show that start to pay off. a little bit, and a lot earlier than you expect it to in the show, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So that was really cool. The music, as always, I cannot remember that composer's name.
Natalie Holt.
Yeah, is fantastic. There are a lot of really great moments that could have been not as powerful with the wrong music, which is really cool. As I said, Moses Ingram is great. The other two guys playing the other two Inquisitors are really great.
Mm-hmm. They're getting a brilliant performance out of the child actor that's playing Leia.
Yeah, because the kid actors are like a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
because like they're adorable, but they're also terrible because they're only like they're only like 3 hours old. So like, what the fuck have they ever acted in? She, to me, feels like exactly what dealing with Carrie Fisher would have been like when she was that age, which I think is probably what they were looking for. They're like, we've got to embody Princess Leia, but we also have to embody Carrie Fisher because we all know her so well that it's just Ewan McGregor. As much as I'll say about Moses Ingram being good and everyone else, Ewan McGregor is easily the best part of the show, and is I can't overstate how just much of a behemoth he is in this show and how amazing his performance is, and I love him. I just like seeing him on screen again as Obi-Wan Kenobi is just like, that's back to 2005 when I was in high school watching episode 3 in theaters. It's fantastic, and I wish that I knew in 2005 that this was coming, because I wouldn't have been so fucking depressed when that movie was finished, because I was like, oh, this is all the Star Wars we'll ever get, which wasn't true, of course, but
I mean, we kind of expected that Ewan McGregor would be fantastic. Like, he was consistently the best actor in the prequels.
Yeah, he's good in everything he's ever been in, really.
He's a fantastic actor.
Mace Windu fan says, "Greetings, citizen." I think that's for Ahsoka, not necessarily for me.
Okay.
Vader was badass this episode. It's hard for me to admit since he killed me. Sorry, Windu. Tyrone says, "I could have asked for anything more from Vader's entrance." Which one? Because we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. And then what was there's a cameo by a fairly famous actor. If you've watched Game of Thrones before, Varda is her last name. She played Ileana Sand in Game of Thrones. She was really good in that. She makes a cameo in this.
Was it
this
a
episode.
Cameo? It felt more like she was just
like a guest star.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that too. So, do you have any thoughts or anything before we move into spoilers?
There was one more thing, but I can't remember what it was now. So if it
doesn't matter. Yeah, if it comes up, you'll talk about it. Okay, so here's the deal.
I remember what it was.
Okay, go.
You remember the spice dealer from episode 2?
Which one?
The one who gives Obi-Wan the free hit.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, that actress is Ewan McGregor's daughter.
Yeah, I think I knew that actually.
Yeah, it's just a fun little Easter egg.
What a weird hey, I got a job for you. You're going to be a drug dealer in Star Wars.
It gives a new layer of complexity to the line, "I used to be someone's daughter too."
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, so here's the deal. We are going to get into the portion of the show where we're going to spoil everything, and it's not going to be 100% accurate. So if go watch the show first.
Yes.
Then come back and watch this.
It's fantastic. You will not regret it.
My wild gesticulating is not going to do it justice. So you're warned. I'm going to put our spoiler warning up on the screen, and I've got some stills here as well, so you can kind of like watch along and shit. So let's go. Let's get started. Let me pull up my notes. So Kenobi episode 3. We're halfway through the season, by the way.
At the end of this, yes.
Yeah, which is really depressing. But so episode opens up with Obi-Wan calling out to Qui-Gon, who is like he's like
still not answering.
Not home. Sorry. So he's grappling with the news that Anakin is still alive, which is a big reveal at the end of the last episode, and like he needs Qui-Gon's guidance. And this is a really similar moment to the "Be With Me" training that Rey has on Agent Kloss in Rise of Skywalker, where she's like trying to get all the dead Jedi to talk to her, and they're all like, "No, bro." Like,
nah, bro.
Nope. And then even when they do talk to her at the end, they're just like little platitudes, like, "Get off the fucking floor, Rey."
Just fucking kill the guy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. So as Qui-Gon is sitting there, or Qui-Gon, as Obi-Wan is sitting there meditating. By the way, do you think we'll get Qui-Gon at some point?
We have to.
They just keep coming back to it. I think like one of these times, like he's going to be like, Qui-Gon, for fuck's sake, I know you're not going to like show up, and I know you're not listening, but I could really use your help. He's like, bloop, and he like shows up.
Like, this is not
like,
just,
I got 10 minutes. What do you want?
This is not just having the gun hanging on the wall. This is like polishing it,
yeah,
and making sure it's loaded.
Yeah,
and
Chekhov's Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
So while he's meditating, there's this really neat sequence of Vader getting fucking assembled, right? And they're like putting his arm on and putting his two legs on that have like the legs have like their own spot in the wall or something, and they like he's got implants in his body that the suit kind of hooks into,
and gets poked in the
right. His chest box like is on spikes and shit. Because Palpatine's like, we could put this on the outside and it would be fine, but it's gonna stab you every time you use it because that's what Sith do.
Well, I mean, the dark side feeds off pain, right?
Yeah,
so
true.
If his
that's the whole point of the suit
is torture, then
there's this beautiful shot of the assembled helmet lowering down on Hayden Christensen's face. And then they do this hero shot of the helmet, fucking a little bit of red reflection in it, and a little bit of Vader breathing. It's just the whole thing is very, very great. And dispersed through this building the Vader sequence, Kenobi is on his ship meditating and increasingly getting more anxious and like, oh shit, he's actually alive. What am I going to do? And then at the end of like when Vader starts breathing, Obi-Wan calls out to Qui-Gon again and says, he's coming, Master. Now, I noted in my notes here that our prediction about this moment from the trailer was correct. This was, in effect, the moment from the trailer when I said, this looks like right around when Obi-Wan realizes that Vader is still alive, which it is. So
more or less.
Yeah. Not to say that we're always right, but I'm right about that, at least. So Vader walks out of his bacta chamber. It's the same room from Rogue One, because he's on Mustafar, right? You get this really cool shot of Mustafar and the lava fields and shit, and it like pans up on Vader's palace, which is a giant fucking dildo with two like things, and because everything's got to be phallic, and Vader's just sitting in his fucking throne room. He's got this big stone throne,
which has got to be the least comfortable chair ever since the Iron Throne.
He doesn't give a fuck.
Of course,
he just doesn't care. And it is probably, it's probably very unpleasant to sit in. And there's nothing in this room other than a chair, pretty much, and a holoprojector.
Yeah.
And so he's talking to Reva on the holoprojector, and Reva's like, "Oh, Obi-Wan killed the Grand Inquisitor. We got to make him pay."
He definitely was not stabbed in the gut by one of his subordinates. I don't know why you would even suggest that.
Right, exactly. I don't know who said that. It was untrue. And Vader's like, "I don't give a shit about the Grand Inquisitor. Like he's don't fucking worry about it. Here's the deal. I've had my eye on you. If you play your cards right, you can be the new Grand Inquisitor. If not, I'll fucking kill you." And she was like, sounds like a very Vader, very Vader proposition. Yeah. So, she's like, okay, I'll send out probes and we'll find him. And she winks out, and Vader like stands up and like broods next to the window, which, by the way, that building is built on the shore where he lost his duel with. So he looks out that window every fucking time. I was like, oh, that's where my whole fucking life ended.
That's where I got 3 of my limbs cut off.
Yeah. And burned half to death.
Yeah.
So back on the ship, Obi-Wan's like tinkering with something, and Leia's like, okay, look, this ship is like slow as fuck. Like, can you make it go any faster? And he's like, no. Yeah, it cannot. And she's like, just use the Force. And of course he's like, that's not how the Force works. Which of course is a fucking reference to Han Solo in Force Awakens. And she's like, well, smart ass, how does it work? And he's like, it feels like being scared of the dark, and then you turn on the light, and it makes you feel safe. And Kenobi, like,
which is kind of a weird expression of what the Force is supposed to be, given from like Yoda's description of it surrounds and binds us and all that. I
think everyone's kind of like, every Jedi has their own like how it feels. Like there's this fantasy trilogy that I read called it's like it doesn't matter what it is, but every magician, like, magic feels different to them, but they're all using the same magic. So I assume it's probably something like that.
Probably.
So Obi-Wan reveals he's been working on Lola, her little like Mickey Mouse droid, and he fixes it and gives it back to her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, my droid." So like Obi-Wan's like, "Okay, we're about to get to the planet. So fucking be on high alert. Don't fuck this up. We got to figure this out. So the ship lands.
There's a gorgeous music cue when the ship is coming down. It has like these Middle Eastern or South Asian drums going on. It was fantastic.
Yeah. And the planet looks kind of neat. It looks a little bit like Western Arizona.
I was gonna say,
which I like. They probably just went like in California. They're just like, we're just gonna drive 30 minutes to this spot and probably film this. Yeah. So there are a bunch of droids everywhere, labor droids, and they're like lifting shit up, and so Kenobi and Leia. I love saying that so much. Kenobi and Leia. It happens a lot in this episode. Like they get off the ship and they avoid the droids and they sneak off. They're walking down a dirt road, and Leia's like, "Where the fuck are we?" And
Obi-Wan's like, "We're in Arizona, can't you?"
Yeah, we're in Western Arizona. We're 40 minutes away from Los Angeles. And he's like, "This is Mapuzo," I think is what he said it was.
Mapuzo.
What was it?
I think it's Mapuzo.
Oh, okay, Mapuzo. Put a P there. It's a mining system. And if we follow the coordinates, because remember that they're being shepherded to someone who's supposed to be helping them. Yeah. And he's like, if these coordinates are correct that the fake Jedi gave us, then our meeting spot should be here just north. If they weren't just totally full of shit. And Leia's like, well, why would they be totally full of shit? And he's like, because people fucking suck, Leia. Like, they suck, and I'm frankly tired of all of them.
I'm sensing a little bit of bitterness.
He's a little jaded. Yeah, he's just a little over it. Leia doesn't answer, by the way. She doesn't respond, but you can see her look at Kenobi, and she's got like the little gears turning. Because Leia is impossibly perceptive.
Yeah.
I mean, they nail her relationship to Padme, like, pretty on the nose. So they're talking, and Obi-Wan's like, it wasn't always this shitty around here. It didn't always look like Western Arizona. Like there were fields and families, and the Empire came in and fucked everything up. And Leia's like, well, I thought the Empire was supposed to be helping us. And he's like, yeah, it's a fucking lie. Your father is probably the only person who's good in the entire universe, but the Empire generally is fucking awful. And she's like, okay. Obi-Wan like stops for a minute, and they do like a Dutch tilt on him.
Yeah.
And there's just a dude fucking out in the field wearing a Jedi cloak with his hood up. And he's like, what?
Do I know that man?
Yeah, and it like zooms in a little bit, and it's Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker just standing there in his Jedi robes, and he's just like free. He's like, and like Leia's like looking at him, and like there's nothing out there. What the fuck are you looking at? And like he like looks at her and turns around, and it's not there anymore. Yeah. And he's like, Leia, it's starting to creep me out. Stay close to me. Like it.
That's a good indication of what Obi-Wan's mental state is like here.
Yeah, because he's
very, a little bit off balance.
He's absolutely a textbook victim of PTSD, right? Seeing shit that's not there, having like anxiety attacks and shit. Meanwhile, Reva flies home to the Inquisitor's fortress on Nur, which I think is the funniest fucking name. It's like, where do you live? Nur. I live on Nur. So she walks into, walks through the complex.
She spends like 15 minutes walking through the base.
It's a big, empty building.
A ton of stormtroopers and officers over. She like walks past security things.
It's a very it's a very inefficient use of space.
Yeah.
They have these giant sprawling rooms that have nothing in them but people. Anyway, yeah. She walks around like a badass, and she gets to like the meeting room, and in the meeting room there's like a big phallic chair, and then there are like little not as phallic chairs. Yep. And Fifth Brother and the other Inquisitor are like hanging out of there. And she's like, okay, I did some investigating, and we should send some probes out. And Fifth Brother uses the Force on her, like pins her down on the table, and is like, you're not in charge, fuck off. I want to be the Grand Inquisitor. And she's like, well, I talked to Vader on the phone because we're buddies now, and he agrees with what I want to do, so suck my dick. And they're both really surprised that she talked to Vader. They're like, you actually talked to him?
She's
like,
talked to you?
Yeah, we're having a sleepover.
We're tight.
Yeah, man. we're friends. And so the Fifth Brother stands up, and he's like, is on the other side of, neither of them are sitting in the chair, right? And he's like, well, I'm next in line, and I'm gonna get what's owed to me. And then he fucks off, and after he leaves, Reva says, "Me too," or something to that effect, which starts this like, I don't know. She's been a little sus the entire time. The first couple of episodes, like her obsession with Kenobi is weird to me. The fact that she would be so fixated on one Jedi
Well, I can see this as she knows enough about Vader to know that he would like to have.
I know what you're getting at. It's possible. Maybe she's trying to get brownie points with Vader. I don't think so. It just some weird shit happens in this episode that I noticed. So they fire 3 probes into space, and there's it's the shot from the trailer with them like coming out of the building, and there's this really cool sequence where like shows the probes getting like loaded into the fucking guns and shot off and stuff. So back on Mapuzo, Obi-Wan's like, okay, here's the deal. You're my daughter, and you don't ever talk. And she's like, I can't talk, or I don't like to talk. And he's like, I don't fucking care. Pick one. Just don't talk. And she's like,
don't talk.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you very much. And so they arrive at the coordinates to meet their saviors. And there's
empty fucking
no one's there. And she's like, well, maybe they're running late. And he's like, well, maybe it was a fucking lie. And tone down the giddy optimism, kid. I mean, like, we're being chased by people who want to kill us. This will get us killed. You constantly seeing the good in people is going to get us killed. And she's like, well, if they're not going to get here, we're going to need a ride to a spaceport. And he's like, what? And she just like runs off toward the road. And she waves down the Star Wars equivalent of this old like 87 Ford pickup, right?
Yeah.
And it stops. It's got this big ugly fucking alien in it, and Obi-Wan's like, the fuck, Leia, this is not safe. And she's like, look at him. He looks fucking friendly.
Leia's like, hey, you want to give us a ride?
Right, calm the fuck down. And he's like, okay, but remember, you don't talk. And so she just walks right up to the driver and starts talking to him. Just fucking ignores everything he said. And she's like, hi, I'm Luma. This is my friend. I mean, my father, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we're farmers from Tal, and we got lost on a trip we were on. And the driver's like, you're on a trip in the middle of the goddamn field? And she's like, yes. And then she makes up this story about how like she wanted to visit the spot where her father and mother met. And the driver's like, yeah, none of that is convincing to me, but I really don't give a fuck, so just jump into the truck. And so they go to climb in to the truck, and he's got like an Empire bumper sticker, right? And at this point, I'm surprised this isn't what people are bitching about on the far right, because this was such an allegory of a supporter of a particular politician that everyone knows about. And so like they get in, like Obi-Wan sees the little flag, and he's like, oh fuck, great. And so they drive off, and on their way, the driver's asking him where he's from. They're like, Tal, and he's like, oh yeah, the people on Tal are good people, good fucking Empire loving people. They keep their heads down, and they obey the Empire. And Leia's like, yeah, we love the Empire. And he's like, great, it's nice to meet only people who agree with my worldview. Nothing wrong with the Empire. Sometimes you just got to kill some people to establish order, you know? And Leia's like, yeah. Obi-Wan is like, we're going to fucking die. we're going to die. So on the way, of course, they have to pick up a group of stormtroopers who know the drive. Like, they know each other.
They just pull up to the stormtroopers, and he's like, hey, you guys need a ride? And they're like, yes, actually, we do.
Yeah, because like their transport didn't show up or something. And he's like, well, what are you guys doing out here? He's like, I don't know.
Hop on, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, we're out here looking for the fucking Jedi now.
Jedi?
Yeah.
Jedi?
Yeah.
I thought they were all dead.
Well, the driver's like, shit, are we safe? And, like, it's kind of a reminder that the people who drank the Empire Kool-Aid believe that they're traitorous, would-be usurpers to the government. Mm-hmm. So they get in the back with Obi-Wan and Leia, and the trooper, one of the stormtroopers, just starts asking questions. He's like, you ever see a fucking Jedi? And Obi-Wan's like, no, what's that? And so he's like giving him the third, like just interrogating him, right? And Kenobi accidentally calls Leia by her name, and then everyone stops, and like even Leia's like, I am better at this.
Bro,
what the fuck? And so he makes up a story about how that's her mother's name. And seeing her face reminds him of it. And he's like, I'm fucking crazy. I can't help it. And they buy it because he's doing the feel sorry for me, my wife died kind of a thing. And they're stormtroopers, but they're not fucking monsters, right? And so they're like, okay, I'll stop asking about your fucking dead wife.
I mean, they're just doing a job, and their job is to aim very poorly.
Yeah. So the troopers are dropped off. Leia and Kenobi look at each other, and they're like, oh, thank fucking Christ. And Kenobi like looks over, and Leia's like still kind of looking up at him, and he's like, "What the fuck do you want?" And she was like, "You knew my mother." Like, it's not a question. He's like, "You knew my mother," and he's like, "That whole thing."
I was just making
shit
up,
it was a story, and she's like, "Yeah, quit your fucking lying." Like, are you my dad? Are you my real father? And there's this moment where like really genuinely was like, I wish that I was, but no, I'm sorry, I'm not. And she says, sometimes I try to imagine what my father was like. And Obi-Wan's like, well, he's great until he murdered children.
I mean,
everyone really liked him.
The stories I can tell.
Yeah. And he's like, I know what you mean. Jedi are taken from their families at a really young age. And like I remember my mother's shawl and my father's hands. And I think I had a brother in there somewhere. Mm-hmm. Which is not a new story point. I know everyone's like, oh my gosh, Obi-Wan has a brother. This comes up a couple of different times. I think in one of the earlier treatments of the Star Wars, 1977, Owen was originally Ben Kenobi's brother.
Oh, okay.
But more recently than that, in this like early 2000s young reader Star Wars series called Jedi Apprentice by Jude Watson, which I have several of them because that was my life when I was in middle school. Obi-Wan talks about remembering his brother from when he was a baby before he was taken or whatever. So this is not new. And I don't know, maybe they make a thing out of it and he ends up meeting his brother. But I think they just took a little detail they saw on a list somewhere, like, Obi-Wan had a brother.
They're just on Wikipedia one day and they're like, oh, hey, he has a brother.
Yeah.
Let's just throw that in there.
So they get to a guarded checkpoint. And Kenobi starts to freak out. He's like, pull over. I don't want to go.
Let us out.
Please
we'll walk
don't.
from here. Driver's like,
don't worry. Don't worry. I know these guys. They'll be fine. They're good old boys. And so the driver gets out of his truck and he walks up to the trooper and he's like, look, these guys in my truck are super fucking suspicious. They're probably Mexican. So go check them out. And so they pull them out of the truck and they call a probe droid over. And they're like, scan his fucking face. And the probe droid scans his face and confirms it's Ben Kenobi or Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he like pulls out his gun and just shoots the probe droid, starts fucking shooting people, a lot more Aikido, fucking flipping people around in wrist locks and shit. This poor driver is like, oh no, what do I do? So he's killing stormtroopers.
He shoots one guy and falls down on this like laser fence and gets
cut in half. Now. Like they did that. Remember the first episode of season 1 of Mandalorian where the guy gets cut in half by the door, but we don't actually see it.
Yeah,
like you see it. He just falls on the laser and then he's in 2 pieces. And I was like, God damn.
Oh God, it's violent.
That's that. Disney was like, I think we can get away with a little bit more.
Yeah, bit more violence.
So he's got everyone killed except for one stormtrooper who's holding Leia hostage because of course he would. He's a fucking stormtrooper, and they're like, you know what? I'll fucking kill this kid. That's how edgy we are. We're in the dark side. Yeah. And Obi-Wan like starts to like pretend to surrender, and he's like, "Oh fucking, I'm just gonna shoot you," and he shoots him. And Leia doesn't even really, she's like, "Oh, okay." So, and the trooper that got cut in half. Mm-hmm. So they're like, "Oh, thank God we won that fight."
Yep.
I'm sure there won't be any more problems with our plan here.
Deactivate the laser fence and keep running instead of stealing.
Which,
this
by the way,
truck.
Did you notice that the little handle that he tries to do for the laser thing is the exact same handle that he uses to do the tractor beam? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So they start to go, and this troop transport rolls up with 3 troopers and an officer, and they get off, and they're like,
"Well, shit,
surrender." And Kenobi's like, "All right, well, we're bones." So he like puts his gun down. They get down on the ground and shit, and there's an officer played by Indira Varma, who's Ilarius Sand from Game of Thrones. We talked about this earlier. Shoots the 3 troopers, who I'm like half expecting her to be like, "I'm the spy," and it's like, "Oh wait, no, that's Rise of Skywalker." And she's like, "Look, I don't have time to explain this. I'm clearly not a bad guy. We need to fuck off before more troopers arrive.
I don't care if you win. I just need Darth Vader to lose."
Yeah. And so Obi-Wan's like, given our lack of options, I'm perfectly fine with this. So meanwhile, at Inquisitor base, the probe droid was able to send a transmission before it was destroyed. And Reva's like, "Oh, I can't wait to break the news to Vader." And Fifth Brother's like, "I already fucking called him." Stole your thunder. And she's like, "Listen, you can take all the fucking credit you want. I'm going to be the new Grand Inquisitor either way, and then you can fuck off." And so they, one of the Inquisitors is like, shut the port down, send some troops, and
Fifth Brother needs to be very careful about stealing Reva's credit because we know what happened to the last Inquisitor who stole Reva's thunder.
Yeah, that's the thing, though, is that, like, they really are leaning into this, like, oh, the Grand Inquisitor's dead, which we know that he's not.
Yeah.
But we also know that Fifth Brother makes it, he doesn't die until Rebels, too.
Yeah.
Maul kills him.
I imagine they're doing all this to build tension in the audience who hasn't obsessively watched the cartoons and memorized every detail about them.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. So the officer brings Kenobi and Leia to this little small town, and there's this really nice moment where, because Leia, like, as precocious as Leia is, she's still a little kid.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm so sorry for running away at my house. Like, this wouldn't have happened if I didn't run away.
I just want to go home.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh, I must protect this child, this poor child. And Kenobi's like, it's obviously not your fault. Like, it's the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, you didn't, ask to be kidnapped by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I like that we've just made the Red Hot Chili Peppers the villain.
I don't remember his name. It's the Red Hot Chili Peppers guy, the bass player. So, I don't remember this officer. In my notes, I just have officer lady. Leads them to a small house, and it's got like a labor droid. He's got this big fucking dumb head, these big fucking dumb eyes, and you just want to give him a hug because he's this big fucking dumb droid.
And Leia like tries to say, "Hi, I'm Leia."
He just like looks down. He's like,
The droid is like mechanically incapable of talking.
Right, which she has a big problem with. She's like, well, what if he wants to fucking talk? And she's like, I don't fucking know.
He can like wave his arms around.
Yeah, he'll mime it, I guess. Yeah. And she's like, well,
that sucks.
That's really cruel. And the droid's like, so turns out it's a safe house for the Path, which is this underground railroad of sorts for Jedi and Force sensitives. And the officer like shows him this hidden panic room, and it's got all these names written all over the place. And Obi-Wan's like, I know a lot of these names. Oh my God, is that Quinlan Voss's name? At which point I'm like, oh, they're dropping Quinlan Voss's name because he's kind of a fan favorite Jedi too. So look, I'm not saying that we can expect Quinlan Voss in this season, but it would not surprise me. It also wouldn't surprise me if this got a second season based on how popular it's been. I mean, it's already...
It depends on how the story wraps up.
Yeah. I think that it's already the number one show on Disney Plus ever.
Yeah.
So it's, it's doing well. So they name drop Quinlan Voss, and kind of explaining how the thing works. Like we take these people to different planets and give them new identities so they can start over. And we've got a pilot that's waiting for you to take you to
something starts with a B.
Yeah, or a K. Or, yeah, I don't know. I have it written down somewhere else in my notes. And we're going to this place, but we have to lie low for a little bit
because the port's locked down. Or something.
Right. Yeah. So there's a trooper raid on the house, and the troopers come in, and the big dumb droid is like just looking at him, and
the droid is actually holding a hammer behind its back.
And I swear to God, he doesn't have expressions, but I swear to God, he looks like he wants to use it. He's like, oh, just give me one fucking reason to bash your skulls in.
Some people come in here, and the other one's like, dude, it's a loading droid. He can't talk.
Yeah, and he's just like staring at these troopers like, oh, fucking try me.
Fucking give me a reason.
And so they don't find anything because they're idiots and they don't know how to look deeper into stuff. And so they leave, and like that droid, it's like, oh, I really wanted to kill those men. So they fuck off. It's dark now, and it's time to leave through the secret tunnel at the back of the house because they have to move up the timetable because of some reason.
Because the Inquisitors are arriving.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so they're like, oh, we got to go now because the shit's crazy. And so Jabeam. Yeah, that's where it is in my notes. Yeah, they're going to go to Jabeam. The pilot's going to take them to Jabeam. So they all go to leave, and Obi-Wan feels this terrible disturbance in the Force. And it is so much like when Alderaan is destroyed, where he like stumbles and grabs onto something and like grabs at his chest, and you're like, oh shit, like what is this? Well, you want to know what it is? He runs to the window, looks out the window, fucking around the corner walks Darth Vader. And you don't see his face at first. It's just like his fucking boots and his cape. One shot of his lightsaber, which I thought was really neat. Yeah. Just like hanging on his belt. And all these people who live here on the street are like, who the fuck is that? And Vader's like, well, let me introduce myself, bitches, and starts torturing everyone that lives here.
God, it was like a sequence out of the Darth Vader comics.
Yeah. He kills this kid's father in front of him and then kills the kid.
Yeah.
And it is harrowing. It's pretty. It's like, how this is TV-14. You guys are really like going for it.
Like I interpreted this sequence as Vader trying to lure Kenobi out.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's
like,
it's
I
it's
know
the whole.
I know you think you're fucking Captain America. Here, come
Yeah.
save these people.
Well, it's the whole ethos about Jedi hunting themselves. So, like the Jedi code is an itch or whatever, you know. Or at least he thinks he can elicit some kind of feeling that he can, like, you know, which is what ends up happening.
Although I guess the alternative is that Vader just likes killing people.
Probably at least half of it. Yeah, he's like, I would have killed these people anyway. It's fun. So Obi-Wan turns to the officer who isn't really an officer. She's you know, and he's like, okay, take Leia, get her to Alderaan. I'll be right behind you. And they leave. And you're like, don't do anything. Okay, you're gonna do something stupid. Fine. So like Kenobi sneaks out of the house. Vader's still like torturing people and shit. And Vader senses him and is like, oh, okay, I'm going that way. Yep.
Done torturing. Let's go. Let's get on to the main event.
Yeah.
Here.
So without a word to anyone, he just like fucks off in some direction, and like the Inquisitors are like, I guess we'll do stuff here.
Yeah, we'll finish rounding up this village for you.
So Reva starts poking around looking for clues because she's got some kind of idea. She's got some kind of intuition that, like, you know, because Vader just wants to get Obi-Wan. She's like, oh, but I'll look to see if I can't figure out what's going on. Yeah. So Kenobi escapes to a rock quarry or like a mine.
Yeah.
And it's dark. And he fucking turns a corner, and Vader's just standing right fucking there. Turns on his lightsaber, and it's the most badass thing. I instantly shat my pants. It's so cool. And did you notice the angle was really similar to when Anakin kills the younglings? That behind the back, like igniting the lightsaber. Kenobi pulls out his lightsaber, doesn't turn it on.
He is not ready for this.
You know, the look on his face is like, I haven't turned this motherfucker on. I don't even know if this works.
It's been buried in the desert for 10 years. It might be broken.
And so, like, this is like this moment where, like, he looks at Vader, and he looks at his lightsaber, and he just runs. And Vader turns off his lightsaber.
Okay, I guess that just happened.
We're going to play some hide and go seek. So Obi-Wan escapes to a different area, and Kenobi hears Vader's voice and says, you cannot run, Obi-Wan. And it's a really good moment to point out that James Earl Jones reprises his role as Vader. And we were talking about this a little bit earlier. I'm pretty sure that some kind of technology was involved because he sounds younger than what he sounds in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Because when he only has a few lines in Rogue One, but he sounds like old, super old James Earl Jones. So they probably used a similar voice technology that they did for Luke.
If they did, it's much improved.
Yeah.
Either that.
It sounded like it. It sounded just like, you know, the Vader that we know from the original.
Either that, or it didn't, like the robotic weirdness didn't come through as strongly just because the Vader voice is always more monotone. Yeah.
So, as soon as he hears Vader's voice, he actually like turns on his lightsaber. And he's like trying to figure out where the voice is coming from,
like
and
flailing around.
There's like a couple of really cool POV shots, like where you're seeing from Obi-Wan's point of view with the lightsaber out, like blade out and everything. It's really neat, and because the light's so bright, he can only see a couple inches in front of him, and fucking out of the shadow, you see his fucking chest buttons first. And like he just melts out of a shadow, and it's so fucking cool. And like you see his lights and you see his silhouette. And Obi-Wan's like, what the fuck happened to you? Like, look at what you've become. And Vader's like, I am what you made me. And Obi-Wan's like, that's fair. I did dump you into fire.
I did cut off 3 of your limbs and then dump you next to a lava river to die.
Yeah. So Obi-Wan fucks off again. He runs again. And it's really clear that he's trying to lead Vader away from everything that's happening. Meanwhile, in the village, Reva finds the safe house. And she figures out how to get into the hidden room, and she sees all the autographs, and she sees that like this someone scratched a Jedi emblem into the wall, and she's got this look.
It is a weird expression.
Yeah, it is not pure hate. It's not like she looked at it and was like, "Oh, fucking Jedi." There's something weird about her expression. I'll just put this theory out now. And mind you, I've not read any leaks that have come out about. I guess there were some leaks about the show. I've not read them because I honestly I just don't give a fuck. Like the fun part about this is trying to guess on my own and being wrong about most stuff, but the stuff I'm right about I'll be really happy about. I have a feeling that her aim is to kill Vader. I think she's just trying to get close enough to Vader.
Interesting.
And is going to try to kill her or kill him. Now, maybe that doesn't mean she's secretly a good guy, because it actually, she looks like she's actually pretty consumed by the dark side. Like, I don't think she's just acting.
I don't think you can pretend to be consumed by the dark side.
Unless you're Luke in Dark Forces.
Even then, he actually fell to the dark side.
Well, yeah, but he pretended. He mostly pretended. It's weird, and it doesn't make a lot of sense either. But so like I think she's actually like pretty corrupted by the dark side. But I think that there's a good possibility she blames Vader for what happened to her, because she's clearly the Padawan in the first episode, in the first scene. And I don't know. They might even try a redemption arc with her, like where she.
I hope not.
I kind of hope not too.
Just let villains be villains.
Yeah, right. I kind of wish they had done the same thing with Kylo Ren at the end of the sequel trilogy. It's like, just fucking. He's a bad guy. Fucking kill him. He's dead. He died a bad guy. Who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
And so there was that whole weird thing. So in the secret tunnel, Leia like turns around and she's like, "You got to go help Obi-Wan. I'm grown up. I can do the rest on my own."
Yeah, I'm 10. I can totally run down this tunnel by myself.
So meanwhile, at the quarry, like Obi-Wan is sneaking around, but Vader like jumps out of nowhere, just like in Bespin, like what he does to Luke. And then so they have a proper fucking duel, except it's not a proper duel because Obi-Wan is so fucking out of shape. Vader is not out of shape.
Vader is beating his ass with one hand.
It doesn't not a single time during that whole fight does he put both hands on his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Just beating him down, holding him back with one hand, and he says, the years have made you weak, and Kenobi is using every bit of strength that he has just to not fall over.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like when you meet up with Vader in Jedi Fallen Order, and he just like he hits you once and you go flying, Yeah. So Vader overwhelms him and knocks him over, and he says, you should have killed me when you had the chance. And he uses the Force, or Obi-Wan like makes a thing explode and steam comes out and he escapes. Meanwhile, Reva like finds the secret tunnel, and Leia's running alone now. The officer decided to go and help Obi-Wan. So it's just Leia and this fucking Inquisitor in this tunnel. Vader catches up to Kenobi, and like he's just done fucking around with him, and he uses the Force to spill some shit out on the ground. It's like combustible material. And he grabs Obi-Wan with the fight, just picks him up with the Force, and was like, "Listen here, bitch!" And he drops his lightsaber. Vader uses his lightsaber to ignite the shit that he like threw on the ground, and just throws Kenobi into the fucking fire. He's like, "Now you're gonna suffer, bitch," and like drags him around in the fire.
Hey, remember when you left someone to die in a highly flammable environment? Would really suck if that happened to you.
So, and he tells him, like, your pain has just begun. The good guy officer finds them up on a cliff, and just as stormtroopers are joining Vader, and Vader takes him out of the fire and drops him to the ground, and he's burned, but he's not badly burned. Like his shoulder, like he's got like some burns on his shoulder or something. It's not that big of a deal. And Vader like turns to the stormtrooper. He's like, "You go fucking grab him, bring him over here." And so the officer just starts shooting stormtroopers, and Vader doesn't even flinch. By the way, like all the troopers like, "Oh God, where's it coming from?" And Vader's like, "The fuck is this?"
It's coming from right there, guys.
Right. It's
right there.
It's nighttime. You can literally see where it came from. She ignites more of the material, and there's like an explosion, and it separates the stormtroopers and Vader from Obi-Wan, and the lifter droid from earlier comes over and like picks him up, and they run off. Vader doesn't even attempt to catch them, which I think is really weird. Either he wasn't really prepared to kill Obi-Wan, or he's really into the whole cat and mouse thing.
Well, I think he didn't want to kill Obi-Wan because he wants to, prolong the suffering and all that.
I don't think it's about. Sure. The thing is, he couldn't have just killed Obi-Wan there. He could have stopped them without killing Obi-Wan.
Probably.
I mean, it's just fucking fire. Like, he's got a suit on now. Like,
I think the other side of this is that Vader has at least some intuition that Obi-Wan is getting help, and he wants to track down whatever group is helping him and snuff them out. Yeah, I'm not.
That's logical. I mean, it's not like, that makes sense. It just I don't know. I don't know. I just think he likes chasing him.
Maybe.
He's like, I'm really bored. I've killed most of the Jedi now. This is the only thing I have left. So Leia reaches the end of the tunnel. There's a voice that says, "Don't be afraid." And she's like, are you the person that's supposed to be meeting me? And she's like, yeah, he couldn't make it because he's dead over here on the floor. And the pilot that's supposed to be picking them up is dead on the floor. And the person she's talking to is Reva. And Leia looks up at her and is like, oh shit, and turns and bolts. And that's the end of the episode. Yep. Directed by Deborah Chow.
Yep.
And so big cliffhanger.
I don't know whether to praise Deborah Chow or the writers for this, but somebody really understands how to make Vader absolutely fucking terrifying.
He was terrifying, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty scary. And the fact that everything was happening at night, he's like fucking Batman.
Well, he's less stealthy because of the glowing buttons on his chest.
Except that you only see him when he wants when he wants you to see him.
Yeah.
Does he turn that shit off? He turns it off and he holds his breath and he runs around into the spot he's supposed to go to. Let me turn to our comments here real quick. Oh, that's a very, very long.
Oh my God! Someone wrote a novel.
Gaming Simp says hello. Hello to you.
Hello there.
Rakesh, this is really long, but I get the basics of it, which is that racist people suck.
Oh, yeah.
Tyrone says, I was screaming like a little bitch when they first showed Vader. Me too. Oh my God, Vader was so epic. I instantly fell in love from castle intro to the victim drag to the live burning. So great. I think we agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
Eric says, I really like that fifth brother reminds me of Raiden from Mortal Kombat. Oh yeah, I guess because of his hat, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know what that means. David says, what planet did Vader fight Kenobi on? Didn't catch it.
Mustafar.
Well, I think he means the one in this episode.
Mapuzo.
Yeah, Mapuzo. Yeah. At some point though, they'll have new rock stars will probably have a breakdown on all the names that are written in the panic room.
Probably.
And there'll probably be some big surprise, like Jocasta knew, I ain't dead yet, bitches, or some crazy shit like Grogu, or I don't know, some shit like that. By the way, that's one thing I'm really surprised. When the first episode happened, I really thought we were going to see this is how Grogu survives thing.
I think they're saving that for Mandalorian.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's talk about some new stuff.
Yes, we have very few minutes.
Yeah, we're going to get through as much of this as possible.
Lightning round.
Speaking of Mandalorian, they've confirmed at Star Wars Celebration that Babu Frick is going to be in Season 3 of Mandalorian. Why? No one fucking knows. They've cast Tim Meadows in Season 3, and Season 3 is set to release February 2023.
Okay, Bad Batch Season 2. There was a trailer.
The Wookiee Jedi is alive!
Yeah,
yay!
Everybody has new Gribblies on their
armor. Commander Cody's gets a helmet. Yeah, Commander Cody's in there. The asshole sniper guy is still in
Crosshair,
it. Yeah. Sid is still there for some reason.
I forget when it's coming, but it's coming.
Tales of the Jedi is going to be a thing that comes out. It's an animated series. Some of it has to do there's some scenes with the wee baby Ahsoka, but also they're doing Jedi Master Count Dooku with young Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon's going to return to do his voice, and Liam Neeson. Yeah. Liam Neeson's son is going to do young Qui-Gon's voice, which I thought was pretty cool.
There's a comic series starring Yoda coming out.
Yep.
10 issues, three issue arcs spread over a period of centuries because Yoda's really old.
It's his time on Dagobah. He's looking back on his adventures.
Okay, yeah. The first issue comes out in October.
Yes. Jedi Survivor trailer, which everyone really freaked out about.
I feel like everybody's seen it at this point, but if you haven't, just go on YouTube.
It is really neat. Cool. I think it's really funny that they had to warn you that it wasn't gameplay. It's just like, because it's EA.
It looks really good.
Right. There is a dude with a lightsaber, probably like another Inquisitor or something. I guess the guy that's the same species as the Grand Inquisitor isn't actually the Grand Inquisitor, but maybe a senator or something.
Okay.
And then there's a guy in a back to tank with long, flowy, blonde, white hair.
Yeah. The Andor trailer.
Fucking cool trailer.
Yes.
By the way.
My favorite part of the trailer is how they synced up the music to the images.
Yeah.
Like the drums with
Did you notice that the guy with the hammers was wearing Hakama pants?
I didn't.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
This is the series that, like, you and I were not interested at all when it first announced.
Don't give
trailer,
a fuck.
Like,
didn't give a fuck. Yeah.
I'm curious now.
Oh, another guy from Game of Thrones is like the Imperial in the white uniform. He played one of the most interesting characters in Game of Thrones, actually, that everyone loved, but he was a bad guy. His name's Qyburn.
Oh yeah.
He's great. A great actor. Star Wars High Republic Phase 2 is going to start this fall.
Okay. Visions Season 2, Star Wars Visions is coming spring 2023, and we have no other details, but I'm very excited.
Right. Do the next one because I did the main one already.
Young Jedi Adventures. This is a book series? No, it's
the whole
Disney Plus series.
Yeah.
Aimed at like very small,
like kindergarten
kids.
Right, yeah.
Spring 2023, High Republic era featuring Yoda.
Yeah. Kathleen Kennedy said that any upcoming movies, I think, except for the, well, she didn't say except for, any of the upcoming movies are going to be set around the sequel era.
Oh, good.
And the reason I really put this on here is it's direct proof and refutation against the Doomcock assertion that they're retconning the sequels.
And Kathleen Kennedy's getting fired any day now.
Yeah, which neither of those are true.
Of course
the sequel trilogy, whether or not you like it, I don't give a fuck. It's staying. There's nothing anyone can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen Kennedy still has a job there, and there's nothing you can do about that either.
Last one, Skeleton Crew. This was like the big announcement from first day of Celebration.
Mm-hmm.
New series starring Jude Law, involving director John Watts, who did the Spider-Man trilogy,
mm-hmm.
and Christopher Ford, who did Homecoming, I believe.
Yeah.
Was the writer there. This is in the New Republic era with a group of lost kids trying to find their way home. It's
billed as a Star Wars mystery series. Yeah.
It's going into production this summer. No date, but it's almost certainly at least a year from now.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit. So that's I think that's everything we got from Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
If we missed anything, let us know in the comments. Flea is the dude from Red Hot. Oh, the bass player. I got you. Okay. Okay. I didn't know the actress that played Petunia Dursley in Harry Potter is in Andor.
Oh.
Excuse me? She is?
She might have been the last shot. This is what a...
Nope.
No?
Nope. That was that's a different act. I think that's... Oh, wait. No, that actually might have been her. I think that was... Oh, hold on. Pause, because I actually had some notes up from this. I can't believe I didn't pull these up when we were talking about it. Prison, weird guard guys. One of them's really hot. The Rebellion. There's Qyburn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nope. That's Fiona Shaw. That's definitely Petunia.
Oh, yeah.
There
you go.
She looks so old. Look at her. She's an old lady. Oh, it's Stellan Skarsgård is going to be in that show. Fucking, what's his name from the MCU? And he's the guy that played the clown in It. That's like his dad.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's the astrophysicist in Thor.
Okay.
That's like Jane Foster's teacher or superior or something.
Anyway,
yeah.
we gotta get going.
Yeah, I think that's all we got today. But join us here just a few minutes. We're going to do some Star Wars Battlefront. It's going to be a blast. And it's going to be a blast for me because I'm going to get max level.
You can see Daniel get his like billionth max level character.
Not billionth, but